want us to make a big fuss. But being GCIS, we all wanted to make a big fuss about her leaving. We wanted to have 5 farewells, one with the DGs, one with the ministers, one with the staff, one with the old midtowners, one with everyone. And of course, she gave us that look that only the DG can give us and said, no, she's not going to do that. And as usual, she chose her own way of doing things. So what she's been doing over the last few weeks is she's been visiting the provinces and she's been saying her farewell there. And I'm sure as she was visiting the provinces, she was probably giving them ideas about what to do next in the coming few days and next year and the following year, because that is in the character of the DG. So, and I'm sure that as she was visiting them, she probably picked up lots of ideas. In fact, we know she did, because 2 weeks ago at Manco, she was telling us about what she picked up from this province and that province, and ideas about what we should be doing in the future. So today, DG, even though you are saying, you're addressing us on probably your last formal address, we know that it's not the goodbye, because we know that you're always going to be around. And I'm sure that when we're messing up, we're still going to get that phone call from you that tells us how and why we're messing up and what we should be doing differently. And I think it's partly because I'm not sure many of the young people in the audience know that our boss, our Director General, started in the public service way in her teens. I don't know if you know that. She didn't formally have a job, but she was doing public service. She was one of those who was fighting for the liberation of South Africa. And for her efforts, instead of a paid progression, instead of a bonus, instead of a promotion, she was detained. And she had to go into exile not long after that. And she was in Swaziland, she was in Mozambique, always serving the public of South Africa. And I want to ask, especially the young people in the room, to go and find a link to the video of a story that was part of a project we did in 2014 when we celebrated 20 years of freedom. And the DG was interviewed then, and she was telling her story, where she comes from. And I think for many young people in the room, that story will be very touching, very enlightening, and it will help you to understand the great leader that we've been privileged to know. And we all have been privileged to know. But you know, the thing about addresses is that often people talk about what the person did in their future. The one thing that I can say to all of you, and I'm sure some of you know it now, the mark of a great leader is that long after they're gone, their legacy remains. You will find in the coming years, in the coming few years, people will say to you in meetings, Phumla used to do it like this. Phumla used to say that. Phumla used to say, no, we must never not do it like that. And that legacy of what she's left behind, the memory, aside from the memory, the institutional changes that our DG has brought about have always been for the betterment of the individuals, for the betterment of GCIS, and for the betterment of the country. So today, DG, we're not going to have a long program. We're just going to be listening to you, and we're going to be watching this space, because, you know, we all know that our DG has got more energy than most of us put together. So wherever she's going, like the President says, we need to watch this space, because I'm sure that wherever she's going and whatever she's doing, she'll be making a mark and leaving a legacy wherever she goes. Today, DG, Philemon has opened the WhatsApp line. So whoever wants to say anything on the WhatsApp line, people can post messages there. And also, we are connected to the provinces. So everybody's going to be listening to your message today. But we also have a little bit of a surprise for you. I know you don't like surprises, but you know, I just couldn't stop myself from irritating you one last time. We have a group of, or at least a group of people represented, the Midtowners, represented by one or two people, which is a group of people, some of whom are still at GCIS, but most of whom have moved on and are doing other bigger, wonderful things out there in the world. And I think, would I be right in saying Terence, sitting behind you, is one of those. And they've just come to be part of saying, listening to you, and also just having some cake. That's all. So without further fanfare, without further ado, let me invite our Director General and the spokesperson of Cabinet to come and do a staff address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tasneem. It's so intimidating. And thanks, Terence, for coming. I was really hoping that by the time we get to the staff meeting, everybody would have gone on leave. So I was wrong. And I really appreciate it anyway. It was not intentional. I just felt that it was not going to be okay to address the staff in provinces virtually when I am going to address you face to face. So that was my plan. And I must be honest, I think I did appreciate a lot engaging with our colleagues from the provinces. I did want to give my last parting shot with no fanfare. I think Tasneem is right that I really burst their bubble because I don't think it is correct that we're struggling so much with resources and then people want to be doing some farewell party for some unimportant human being. So I think that was really my thinking, but it was not to snub you because my farewell is going to be really taking a number of you on a memory lane of the journey we have traveled with this organization that I will carry with me wherever I go. I started working in the GCIS in June 1998, and I think the GCIS was literally a month old because it was formed out of the then South African Communication Services. And I remember I came, and I'll do a lot of anecdotes because some people will be familiar with some of these anecdotes. When I came in GCIS, I came to be a CFO, and it was hectic because it was at the time when the PFMA was being introduced and the Public Service Act was being introduced. And everybody had to navigate the transition from the Exchequer Act, which was the Bible that we were using at the time, and I remember in Gauteng, that's how I entered the public service. We entered with the Exchequer Act. Colleagues, that Exchequer Act, I probably think if it was still around, a lot of young people would have left public service. because it was an act that was telling you almost everything that you needed to do. You want to go to the toilet, turn to chapter 5. You want to go to buy your lunch, turn to chapter L. It was called alphabets, A, B, C, D, and then it really went up to Z. And then when it ran out of the Z, it went into AA, chapter AA, chapter BB. But basically, there was nothing you could do in the public service without referring to that Bible. And in came the PFMA. And those who will recall, it used to say, let managers manage, but hold them accountable. It was manna from heaven, because public servants were wired in terms of the rules. And here is the new dawn that said that as long as you have your departmental policies, you can work around your departmental policies and you can change them. And a lot of people who were in finance will recall our trial and errors from the SNT, where people brought in slips with sanitary pads and said it was lunch. And it was a whole chaos that we had to learn and try and understand the business of the organization, but making sure that we account for every cent. Today, I want to celebrate those colleagues in finance. During our time, there was not one penny that went missing. And it was possible for us to steal if we wanted to, because those days, there was still a checkbook. We could sign each other checks and we could get away with it. But the whole mission of serving the people of South Africa was much more than just considering stealing. And to that, I want to celebrate the colleagues. In procurement, there was not even a sniff of theft. And we built a culture that said, if you make a mistake, come forward. And I think Mary Jane, if she's still here, I remember one time she made a mistake in pressing the button, which was supposed to be 2,700, and it ended up being 27,000. But because we had such a beautiful trust on each other, she came running to my office to say, CFO, I've made a mistake. And we were able to save it, because Ilza came in and says, no, we can go to the Reserve Bank, which was just around the corner, and we were able to fix it. This is the team that I worked with that were able to pick up one person who was doing something irregular, and they were able to come in and say, we suspect that this guy is doing something on the cell phones. I think a lot of people will remember in GCIS we were buying people's cell phones. But because of the level of trust we had, they were able, one of the officials said, CFO, I think there is a loophole in the system. This guy is involved in something irregular. And we were able to fix it. And that's the kind of human beings that I will always cherish. I will always cherish the fact that when we started being audited, we were red-carded for the assets. We couldn't account for the assets. And we couldn't account for the security features of the IT infrastructure. But we worked with colleagues to say, what is it that we can do to make sure that we get a clean audit? And at that time, we had a brilliant DG, which was Joel Nechitenze. Joel never used to find recklessness or anything. She always would say, go and talk to your team and come back and tell me how best we can fix it. And with that, I think we succeeded to take GCIS where it is today. Today, as I'm leaving a organization that has a clean audit, I'm leaving and I'm hoping the young people who have joined these outfits, finance and procurement, will carry the honesty, because our country is in this, because most of the irregularities happen with collusion of the supplier chain people and the finance people. And I think crime does not pay. And I'm hoping young people will emulate me and the previous people who were working in finance to make sure that they do not succumb to do wrong things. I know there's a lot of people who still want to steal in government because there are openings that have been made. I guess what Frick used to say, there's a potential thief in everyone who works in finance. So I don't want to believe it, but he used to say that. But all I'm saying is that, colleagues, let us emulate the people who started GCIS and make sure that it doesn't happen. I also live with a lot of appreciation of what the governance of this organization did, because I think we were a governance unit that listens to the core business of the organization. We had a building that was driving everybody crazy, the Midtown, those who knew Midtown. The lifts were not working, the aircon was not working, the carpets were peeling off, and it was a never-ending fight of saying, I can't work in this environment. I even have asthma because of the fumes, the peeling of the carpet. But when we were facing challenges of public works, because people who have interacted with public works know, we had a DG that listened to us, and we said, DG, the staff is unhappy with the building. We have to do something. The lease has expired. We're working on a month-to-month basis, and we cannot carry on. People can't do their work because this building is not. And I remember him saying, Phumla, do you think you can do it? And I said, no, DG, the law has changed. We don't have to depend on public works. We can do that. And she picked up a phone and phoned the DG of Treasury. That was, at the time, Lesisha. And Lesisha said, do you have the money? And we said, yes, we do have the money. But it was on the verge of being taken to public works. And she said, no, you don't have to take it to public works. You can take the money and you can look for a building yourself. The next thing, we had a whole nightmare of how do we go about doing this, because we don't know. I mean, we are used to public works because they've got the expertise. And our DG said, find money within that allocated, hire a person who knows about how to get us a building. And that's how Tandi Tomo came into the picture. Brilliant, to a point that he delivered us this building with every receipt accounted for. And that also, I want to appreciate the GCIS that I had come to know, because I remember when it was evaluation, tender evaluation, the supplier chain people were a little bit anxious to say, hey, how do we go around it? And we agreed to convert Manco into a team that was going to do the evaluation, because we did understand the seriousness of it, and we said we are going to make sure that all of us form part of viewing of buildings. And I remember selecting one of the Mancos to say we will then use the Manco to go and view the buildings. And that's the team I had come to appreciate. Colleagues, the GCIS was termed a strategic leadership organization. We were defined as a core of communication that sits at the presidency. And I think they said to us, you lead from the lead from behind. I think people will still remember those words, lead from behind. Joel could swear about that. You lead from behind. And we tried to do that lead from behind. And I think when we were reviewing GCIS 10 years down the line, we realized that this thing of leading from behind is not really cracking it. Because you lead from behind, you are at the mercy who is in front. And what if that one in front doesn't do it? What happens? So when we converted the GCIS 10 years later, we then decided that, you know what, this thing of saying we're going to lead from behind is not going to help us. But I have a lot of appreciation of what GCIS did in doing that lead from behind. Today, we've got brilliant documents that the GCIS team tried to do. We've got what is called the Communication Handbook, because we did understand that if you want a communicator in a department to function and with one voice, with one message and many voices, we need to create a framework for them. We developed what we call a communicator's handbook. We also created the communication strategic framework. This strategic framework that you are seeing, it was started during Joel's time, because we did want to make sure that the departments will lead their departmental communication, but within the framework. We then subsequently developed the communication policy, because all of that was trying to say, let's guide them and let's make sure that they deliver the communication. Because I think what we did appreciate is that the communication in government is a must, colleagues. It's a must if you are to serve the citizens of this country. You can't say you will serve them and then go and feed back to them 5 years when you start campaigning. It's just not going to help. So what we have been trying to say to departments, you need to understand that you need to keep your communities abreast with what you are doing. If you are having challenges, you need to make sure that you go back to them and deliver an account to what you are doing. And that's what we sought to do. But apart from the strategic leading from behind, there were certain things that I will cherish when I leave the GCIS. Those who were with us when Bahat came, and I think he came back from Brazil and from India, and he said, GCIS, I want you to drive the multi-purpose centers, because that's the way to go. You cannot just communicate and not give people those services. It's well and good to tell them that you need to apply for a birth certificate, but where do they get that birth certificate? And I remember Bahat saying to us, every district must have a multi-purpose center. Today we call it Tusung Center. I live very proud that GCIS delivered. It delivered that the last count I checked was that we've got about 127 multi-purpose centers. Yes, we have some challenges, some of them because of lack of resources, they are in a bit of a state, but largely they are in good condition. I live proud of the task that was given to GCIS to come up with a corporate identity. Every building that you walk and you see, Department of Women, Department of Home Affairs, you see our graphic designers work, because that's the GCIS that delivered. They were given a task to say, Cabinet gave us a task to say, go and design a look and feel and a corporate identity that will govern, that will drive and guide the work of this organization and of this government. We delivered, colleagues. We are sitting here proud, no matter anybody who tells you that they don't know what GCIS is doing. You don't have to look far. You have to say, that look and feel, do you know who did it? It was GCIS design people. When you look back and they say, we don't know what GCIS does, you must direct them to the website and say, go and look at the website that was not in existence in 1998. Today, we are one of the most vibrant government website go-to. When you are looking for information, people go there. If people say to you the GCIS, a government website, is outdated, you must tell them. They must come and show you proof, because our website is one of the most updated government website with content that sometimes even the state speech of a minister in another department, you are likely to get it in the GCIS rather than getting it from the department concerned. And that's the GCIS I had come to know. Colleagues, we were at some point, our leadership was unhappy with how the media was capturing us. And they were saying, GCIS, where are you? Go to our government news agency. It's top class of our journalists producing stories from a government perspective. And if anybody were to say to you, nobody reads it, tell them to talk to Rose and tell you how many hits are there. Some of us monitor it all the time. We tell the story. There's not a single event of government which comes to our attention and we do not know. And that's the GCIS we have. And that's the stuff I will always cherish. We always say that we are supposed to be doing, taking pictures. I think I remember at some stage we were struggling with pictures. Today, the GCIS is supplying even the media with our pictures and our video. We've got top-class videographers. We've got top-class camera people. And you don't doubt the quality of their product. Nobody should ever say what you are doing is not of standard. Because sometimes when other people want to try and justify outsourcing, and they would say, no, the GCIS one is not of top quality, you must challenge them to say, come and show us which photo is of poor quality. You must challenge them and say which videography is of poor quality. We have top-class graphic designers. Ask them, when they leave GCIS, sometimes it's not because we don't want to, maybe because we are overworked and we can't cope. But in terms of testing our quality, I have no doubt I'm leaving a GCIS that has top of the range in terms of the services that we offer. Colleagues, I thought I should also celebrate some of the work that was given to GCIS. Whoever thought that the 2010 World Cup, we will crack it? We cracked it. We cracked it because we are such a united force in GCIS. Yes, some people will say, no, GCIS is not a good organization. But let me tell you, we are a brilliant organization. When we put our minds to a project that has been given to us, that's when you see us showing a united front. That World Cup, 2010 World Cup, we set up a project team and we all dig into it to make sure that we deliver on that project. And to that, I will carry it with me. Africon was delivered, and the communication that went with it, it was our colleagues who had made sure that they deliver on what was expected of us. My top one is the Mandela funeral. A number of young people were not here when Mandela was announced to have passed on. It was on a Friday, I even remember it. And some of the things that I will cherish, I will share it with those who were not there. I was woken up at 9 and to say, come to the Union Building. And I remember going to the Union Building, and they didn't say over the phone, but you know, when I left Joburg coming this way, I could sense in the radio something has happened. And I remember getting to the Union Building, and they said that the president has passed on. Oh, I'm so happy you are here that I'm mentioning the 2010. But anyway, I was still saying, I finished the Union Building, and I remember phoning Harold, and I remember phoning Nebu to say the old man has passed on. I kid you not, by 11 o'clock, the GCIS staff was in the building. And it's something so amazing that this one called this one, this one called this one, this one called. We started working at 11 midnight. And we did it. In that 10 days, the GCIS delivered to a point that I got a BBC journalist coming to me and saying, you know what, you don't know me, I'm a journalist from BBC. South Africa shocked us. We thought that you are not going to deal with the influx of journalists that were coming into the country. But GCIS was ready from 6:30 in the morning. We were ready to give accreditation. And that's the GCIS I know. We worked flat out. I don't think people slept in those 10 days. David there, winky. We never slept. But I don't remember a single day anybody complaining. And that's what I keep saying I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating the kinds of human souls that we have in GCIS. And I hope as I go forward, we will remain with the kind of culture that we have worked so hard. And I'm not even in any way saying it's perfect. I know a lot of us will say, my boss is not, no. But when it comes to a job given to us, we deliver it. The last one is the COVID-19. Whoever thought people will wear masks, they will wash their hands? I think a lot of people said, we're lying. And no, the South Africans are very stubborn. They are not going to wear masks and whatnot. And they gave us the money. And we delivered. We delivered to a point where we have some lessons that we have. I think I'm not even going to talk a lot on COVID because we've just celebrated it. But there's a lot that we have learned from that incident, and we will remain a better organization going forward. I think Tasneem said that there was a lot that I was sharing with the provinces. What are the challenges? I don't want to believe that GCIS has challenges that they cannot overcome. And they've proven to me, once you have the money, the sky is the limit with the team that I leave in GCIS. The only reason that sometimes we fall short is because the resources that we are given is almost make it impossible for people to do what they can do. In fact, the reason we cracked the COVID-19 is because they gave us money. The reason we have this building is because they gave us the money. Once the resources are available, the sky is the limit with GCIS. And we keep saying that. In fact, one of the campaigns that we ran successfully was the anti-corruption. They gave us the money, and we did it, and we delivered. The one product that I should have mentioned earlier when I was talking about the products, the skill of GCIS is guided by our scientific approach to what we are expected to do. Our research has been a cornerstone of everything that we do. They've been supplying us with content, research, and guiding us of how to do it. Because even the COVID-19, they were resolute in keeping us on track all the way to say, you know what, this information is not, this information is correct, and that information is not correct. So I think we've got so many things. I think Vuk'uzenzele is also one of the products. Cabinet gave us a task to say we want you to go and deliver a daily newspaper for government. We were given money and we delivered, and it's still alive today, that Vuk'uzenzele. And we're still short because at the time, the cabinet had in mind a daily. Our resources will continue to be a struggle for us. We still have the challenges in the sense that when the concept of a smaller unit giving strategic leadership, they never had in mind that at some point they will say it must take the lead. And that's why I think a lot of us are unhappy. I'm giving too much work, I don't take day off. Because I think the reality, colleagues, going forward, I do think that our establishment has to be revisited. We started here with I think I was looking at the establishment, it was about 200. We inherited an organization that had 229 people. But at the time, the thinking was that we are not going to do the work, we will guide people to do the work. But the reality is that we've been doing the work. And I think going forward, it's something that we need to look at in making sure that we don't exploit people. Yes, they've got such a beautiful soul and willingness to work, but I think there has to be some kind of an appreciation that this organogram has to at least reflect that kind of a challenge. We also have challenges of getting communication to be enforceable. In some departments, it's a favor. They don't see any need for us. You call and you say, Zé Baba, there's this problem, there's this story that has been going on, and then he says, no, I'll come, we are aware of it. And in communication, if you don't tackle a negative story around and you don't deal with it, you're losing it. Because if you think you will only come back when DG responds, when he comes back from World Economic Forum, which is a week later, you've missed the boat. Nobody's going to take you serious. And I think those challenges, we still have them, and they still have to be tackled. What I'm happy about as I'm leaving is that the GCIS is acknowledging that something has got to give. And that is why they have managed to get the minister to appreciate the legislative approach. Because if you don't legislate that you need to have a communication strategy, you need to have an APP of communication that is aligned to your department, the auditors won't audit you. And I think one thing that we have come to learn very quickly in public service, if it gets audited, it gets done. And I think the day we succeed in getting that legislation, and I'm hoping as I leave, that project, which is Sandile and Tasnim and our service provider, we will finally crack it and have a proper a communication legislation which will force everybody from national to provinces to district that they have to do that communication going forward. Colleagues, I think we would be blind if we are not going to also appreciate that, yes, we did extremely well in the early years of GCIS, but the communication of the future is forcing us to go back to the drawing board. I went to talk to students at TVET, and one of the things that even the lecturers were telling me to say, I think we are now adapting the typical journalism degree, because we do appreciate that the world is taking a different take in how the communication is unfolding in the space. Gone is the typical journalist who only writes and goes with the photographer and the video, big videography. So they are changing, and it forces us to also say, I do need to train my journalists in news services that they must not think that somebody else will come and take pictures for them. Nobody's going to come and take a video for you. And that's what these lecturers were telling me to say. They are now training young journalists to be what they call multimedia training, a degree in multimedia communication, because that's the direction the world is taking. We didn't have social media in 1998. Today we have social media, and that's the direction the communication should be taking. But yes, it comes with booby traps. A lot of young people who venture into communication through social media, they do bend their fingers. And from a government perspective, you can't afford to make a mistake. Ask me and Tasnim. We've bent our and Vinny there. We've bent our fingers on a gender issue, which we posted there. So I'm saying this is a direction to take, but you have to be circumspect. Gone are the days of thinking, I know I'm outside of work, I can use the handle and put myself with a new lipstick and posting naked. That's the one, my favorite one. Somebody posted they're having a shower and naked, and then he says, no, DG, it was after hours. No, when you are the face of government, you can't afford to say it was your time. And I think one of the colleagues in the provinces was taking me on, which I did like, and he was saying, DG, I don't understand. It's my time. Why GCIS is actually cautioning me when I'm using my handle? Here's my take, colleagues. They know me as a government spokesperson. I have a private one. Terence can never use a private one and do silly things, because they know Terence. She is the face of the presidency. If she wants to do silly things, let him rather use a different code and different name, and then she can afford. But if he is going to say it's my private space, but he's still Terence, with the face of Terence, it doesn't work. You see, with HR or somebody in supply chain, they can take a chance because nobody knows you. But that's what I was saying to the colleague. So IT, they can do as they please. Nobody knows you, bro. You can take your fair chance. But don't take your fair chance and then say, I'm going to settle my score with Terry. After all, she annoyed me yesterday. And then you go to Twitter and then you start swearing at Terry. I don't think it will work. Colleagues, those are my thoughts of trying to say to you, I live with a lot of happy memories. I leave this organization far better than it was. We do have challenges, but we definitely come a long way. Tasnim was saying, what am I going to be doing? And somebody was asking. I've always been an activist in my life. I've always hated wrong things done to human beings. Whether white, whether black, whether colored, whether Indians. I always say, if you are a child of God, you need to know what is right and what is wrong. It cannot be correct that I see people who are destitute, sleeping without food, and then take my 20,000 rand and go and give it to the pastor and leave somebody around here with no food. And that's I think some of my colleagues here, fortunately is not here, I took them on that. And she was saying to me, oh, my aunt is starving, you know, at home. She's got 3 daughters and no one wants to give food. And, you know, and then I said, and you still want to take your 10% to pay tithe? And you, no, Sisi, what do you mean? The church says I must contribute tithe. So, and I said, you know what, I'm challenging you. Take that tithe and go and buy chickens for your mother. Because yes, it's not your mother, it's your aunt. No, Sisi, how does this thing work? Because you can't then leave your aunt without food. And then you are saying you don't want to get into trouble with Mfundisi. And that Mfundisi asks ukuthi she's going to change a car. She's buying himself or the Mfundisi a car. So that's me. I just feel we have to be sensitive to the people we live with around them. And that's what is going to occupy me. Doing good for somebody who's around you. Not that you are taking all your money, but be sensitive to people who are struggling. And that's what is going to be keeping me going, because I think Tasneem was telling you that I relate my story. I grew up in a home where there was always somebody my mother grabs in the street and comes with. Every time. It's either in the clinic, no, lomtana, 10. So we were 3 at home, but there was always law or society that we had to cater for, because my mother will, even a granny, so I had to come with and bring in the house. And that's how we change humanity, in doing good, not break your bank. If you've got extra slices of bread, don't break your bank to share that slice of bread with somebody who's in need. And that's almost captures what I will be doing when I retire. And of course, I will be available to assist you. But thank you so much, colleagues.
Thank you, DG. Okay, we promised this program isn't going to be a long one, but we are open to inviting a few people to say a few short words. If we have anybody, I think we'll invite one of the Midtowners to share some short memories with the DG, happy memories. And then also we can invite people from the staff. Look who's just walked in, our former DDG, Baby Chawa. So I believe, if anybody would like to say something, it's the time to put up your hand. Go ahead, come up, Ayanda. Don't tell the story about Yankees. Yankees.
Oh, okay. I won't tell the story about Yankees, and I was told not to tell a story about the 10 babies, the missing 10 babies, Kapit. Good morning all, good morning DG, good morning colleagues. I thought I would like to share just 3 stories. I know I came the middle of 2011 thinking that I'm just here for 2 years, 3 years Anyana, learn government, go back to my farm in Cape Town. 10 years later, I'm still with Sis Phumla. So my story starts with Sis Phumla when I was appointed a director in Cape Town. So that meant that every year when the State of the Nation address, DG is coming to your province. And I'm sure each and every director would know when your leadership and DG is coming, your story needs to be in order. So I want to just like share the stories of what I learned mostly. One is the meticulous planning when DG is going to arrive. You almost need to know of like where the stairs are going to be, how things are going to be done. So I think one of those things that I've learned in the three that I'll mention today is the question of planning. The second part is the question of being steady in leadership. I think DG and I have gone our ups and our downs, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know how I ended up at Hatfield when I wanted to just like get away. But I think the important lesson that I heard from you, DG, when we had a one-on-one, remember the time, I think it was probably one of my lowest times at GCIS. I just had been fired by a deputy minister that I was advising for because of the clarity of things that needs to be done. The right and the wrong that DG was saying, that we need to be clear. We are not just civil servants that work for public service. This is a manifestation of the activism of Sis Phumla and most of us who were in the student leadership. So that steadiness in DG, I really, really appreciated you in leading this organization. The third part is the trust. When you lead an organization and when you lead people, you do need to balance it that all of these people are not just working for me. They have careers, they have ambitions, they have ideas. And if you don't give them space and trust them to do what they do best, then your leadership will be really, really, really empty. And I think I want to thank you, DG, for trusting each and every one of us. Whether you are in Menko, whether you've never been on the 5th floor, but your leadership to us, especially to me, has really, really taught me about how you can close your eyes and let your team guide and lead with you. With those few words, thank you, DG. Yabule.
Nice one, Ayanda, thank you. Anybody else? Nzizwa, come up. And can I just ask, while he's walking, I just want to say, one of the DDGs, Michael Curran, is watching online. And of course, he can't resist the urge to say what must be done. So he said I must ask either Mary Jane or Tandi from Finance, are you here? Is one of you here to say something? Because we've got... Is anybody here? Okay. Someone's pointing there. Just a few words, come. Okay, Nsizwa?
Thank you very much, Tazim. Yeah, good morning to everyone, especially you, DG. I thought, knowing myself, I don't like leaving a room not being clear as to what was said. Your last remarks kind of touched me, DG. So it's a point of clarity much more than anything. So you are saying when you leave here, you are going to take your 10% and donate to the other ones, and it's just to be clear on that point, DG. I think the second one is to say, I think with most retired people, they travel a lot most. Surely you've seen most of the skills. There are drivers also here, DG. I don't think take it for granted to approach us. We are free on weekends, we can travel with you. So you'll have safe trips, you'll arrive alive, for sure. But what I'm standing on, DG, I think in my little interactions with you, you quite touched us in different ways. But one of the memories you've left with me, I think, in my lunch with you, while we were having lunch in Mpumalanga, you said to me what goes into an impactful and very successful engagement you have is normally your success in pre-planning. So I think I want to share that moment with everyone that, when you advise me to prepare for anything, to do advanced preparing, today I think I stand ashamed because I did not prepare to do this speech. So I do have to apologize, but DG, we thank you. I think the little interactions, the ways you've shared with us, your encouragement into what we do, it did not only touch upper management, but us at lower levels. We really felt your leadership. We really felt your love. We really felt your advices all throughout. So it's for me to wish you all the best as you go into retirement, and also to avail myself weekends. I'll drive you alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Nsizwa. Anybody else? Is the finance team going to send somebody? Okay. Then may I invite, welcome Lennox as well.
Bye.
Me too. Okay, can we invite Ms. Baby Chawa to come and say, oh, it's changed. Okay. Forward planning is always welcomed, and the dry run is what the DG is synonymous with. So she's known as Phumla Dry Run Williams, but sometimes we have to improvise. So it's going to be Terence that's going to come and say a few words on behalf of the Midtowners. Welcome, Terence.
Thank you, Chair. DG, good day, everyone. I'm going to start by apologizing. We were told that you don't want this big thing, and but we had to. As former Midtowners, we had to. So we apologize for defying your orders, number one. We also apologize for gate crashing. I'm not leading, but I'm part of the group we call the gate crashers from the Midtown group. We apologize for gate crashing as well. And I'm doing this as a way of introducing the guys whom I'm with. They may want to say a word or two. Matome, Lennox, Sis Baby there. One of them is still with the house, Jacobs, David. Yeah. We felt that we should come and hear your last message in a formal setting like this one. We know that we are not lost to you. You will always guide us. We thought we should just come and listen to your final marching orders in a formal setting like this one. And what you've just given us gives us hope. But we also thought we should present you with something, a token of appreciation, just something that you as you are being driven around, or maybe as you are hosting at home, when you look at it, you'll remember all of us with David. I think it's just around the corner there. Oh, it's here already. Maybe let me invite you on stage so that we present this one to you. But as you come to the stage, I want to say what I take from your message, DG. The most important thing that I took from your message is that, and it goes to all of us, that we must always strive to be ethical in doing our business. That's the most important thing that I took from what you are. And I would encourage all of you. There is a course with the National School of Governance that on ethics alone, and I think it's important for all of us to take that course. It's very cheap. I think it's under 300 rand. Yeah, but Matome, with those words, I think Lennox, his baby, maybe prepare yourselves if you want something to say. I'm breaking protocols, Tasneem. Koliswa, if you have something to say, guys, be prepared in that order. It's our way of gate crashing, taking over the stages for my Midtowners. we were taught to soldier on like that. You want to read that?
Okay, thank you very much, Terence. I'm also one of the Midtowners and the convener of the Midtowners. For those who don't know who the Midtowners are, oh, yes, these are the veterans in government communications. They are all over government, private sector, and so forth. And the reason we call ourselves Midtowners is that at some point, Sis Phumla was the CFO, and we have a CEO whose name was Jewel, and we had a building called Midtown, somewhere at corner Prinsloo and Termiele. If you want to know the history of government communication from Comtask to how GCIS came to be and the rise of Sis Phumla and Sis Baby and many other guys, you have to read the history of Midtown. And we appreciate, we decided to come here, Sis Phumla, because we thought about this. We heard through the grapevine that you are going on retirement, and we decided that we are going to have something special for you. It is not this present, it's something coming. And yesterday, as we were reconciling our thoughts, we decided to, at the 11th hour, to put together a message for you. And this message basically reflects, in part, your journey in government communication. You are a stalwart, you are a veteran, you are somebody that the country will never forget. And as Midtowners, we are going to make sure that the country never forgets you. We will talk to you later about that. But let me just quickly read the message and then invite the other Midtowners who are here to just come in front. The message says, and it was written in part by some of the doctors from Midtown. Yeah, it's not a media statement. It was written by Dr. Shilwani, I'm sure he's here. Kole is here. Terence is here, House Baby is here, Lennox is here, and Gele is here, and Philemon is here. He's a Midtowner. And I'm going to request you, after I have read this, to come forward. It says to Sis Phumla, clarity leads to attention, and attention leads to result, says Henry Cloud. Thank you for the clarity and the result you bring with your life. Your militaristic discipline, your fortitude, your resilience and dedication to the South African cause are unmatched. Soldier on. From the Midtown Group, with love. Amongst us, the eldest and the most senior is Sis Baby. I will request her to come forward and share her views. And the Midtowners can just stand next to her as a show of force.
Phumla reading good, yo. As sing good, I'm telling you, yo. Sing good. Yeah. Hello to everybody. I've seen faces I know, but also faces I don't know, and I think it's an example of how far we have come and how far GCIS has actually grown. On a personal note, I really want to say, indeed, we were just told you don't want a razzmatazz, you don't want a party. We just thought, we'll sneak into your staff meeting because they told us it's a staff meeting. That is why I kept standing out there. I was listening to everything you said. And first and foremost, on a personal note, I really wish to appreciate you. You will not believe that when I came in here, I came in with Unkele. The first day we started together. And this is Phumla. Phumla was the CFO who just did not play the game of being disorganized and asking for money when you don't even know what is the budget about. At that time, I was coming from academia and, with the urge of wanting to do things. Her structure was that, there has to be a form, there has to be the purpose, there has to be why you need what you need, and it has to link up to some outcome of some sort. You'll be surprised that these are the things I carried throughout my life when I left GCIS. And each time I regret why I left GCIS, but it's good that I left because then I had to experience people who don't care and who throw others who care from the system. And unfortunately, this is what we face in the public sector. You see, if you walk in there, you ask people for this memorandum, that memorandum, this justification, but you know what? I think you've done a lot for us, for the country. The GCIS has grown us as a team, and no one ever walks out of this institution without reflecting back and saying, this is what I learned from GCIS. And just the joy of having grown here. I carry that with me all the time. And in a strange manner, each time we go to any space, you find, hey, there's somebody here who comes from GCIS, there's somebody. And these guys have got ideas. They've got like great ideas. Umatuma is driving something. We still have to look at what he's doing. I'm sure it will come out. I'm sure it will be. But knowing that you will be out of the institution, I don't think you will be out of practice. You have said you are an activist. I join in that activism. And I actually think our country needs a lot of activists who have resolve, who actually want to share skills to rebuild this country because, be honest, we're in real trouble. We're skidding quite slowly, but it's only us who can rescue ourselves. And I wish you many, many more years and keep coming back. We do have a group. Matume is right, we have a group. Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting us. Thanks for not inviting us. We just came. We just rocked. We rocked up. Come into the picture. Thank you so much.
Come and take a picture and say, please take a picture of
Don't show our wrinkles.
Baby. This is typical of Midtowners. They invited to gate crash, then they hijack the program. Take a nice picture. Okay. I think when the program is over, I think a lot of people will want to take pictures. So we will take pictures. I think the DG teams will want to take pictures with you. So you can maybe touch up the makeup a little bit. But I think just to move on before I start getting more dirty looks, let's see, we have another gift. And that gift is from the institution. So we are inviting our DDG Corporate Services to please step forward and hand over the gift. DG, you requested to come on up again.
Do you want to come?
Yeah. Oh, she's got.
Thank you. Good morning, DG and colleagues. I think before we hand over this memorial gift to the DG, we just have a message as the department, because it's from everyone in the department, equally to us as new as 8 months old, equally to the colleagues who come back as far as 1998, that DG, you have influenced through your life a number of things in the country, with general citizens, in the sector, in the public service. And we want you to always remember that as much as you never wanted to be a celebrity, but your life and your conduct and how you did things, it influenced a number of people in this country. I'm not going to moan about the fact that we wanted to go all the way out for the farewell, because we felt a number of people, one way or other, have been influenced by you. And therefore, we are saying, we're giving you this as a forever remembrance of the work that you did for our country and for the public service in general.
You want me to? We can
just
thank you.
Just,
Thank you. Once again, I don't think it's a speech now, but I thought that one of the things that was reminded by Tasneem about my, Ayanda. I think I must apologize in advance to those that I scored low for not missing their deadlines and not preparing correctly. I am a fanatic of dry runs, it's true, but it does work. It does work. But let me just appreciate the kind words from the colleagues, and let me thank the Midtowners. You did surprise me. I was not expecting you, but thank you ever so much, your kind words. Thank you for the gift. And yes, I will, Matume, think about what you are saying. After all, we want our country to succeed. Thank you so much. Sorry, I nearly forgot. What's going to happen in January? Because the president has signed the presidential minute to advertise the post. It is going to be going out in January, if I'm not mistaken. But they have also signed the acting letter. Michael Karim would be acting from 1st of January. So please don't call me, call Michael. I will delete all your numbers in my phone. Thank you. Thank you. But Michael will hold the reins, so there won't be a really gap. So thank you.
Thank you, DG. And I think there's not much more to say, but just in case we created a wrong impression, DG, you know, everyone knows you're tough as a DG, but not everyone knows that you're both hard and soft on us. So, you know, this is your average life the day in the life of a GCIS person. You must be on time for the dry run. And if you're not on time for the dry run, you are going to be marked down in your assessment and you're going to get a mouthful from the DG. But if you phone her and tell her, DG, my child is sick, she's going to be the first one to say, no, make sure you take them to the doctor. We can do without you. And luckily, thank God for Zoom. I I thank God every day for Zoom. She'll say, no, you can do the dry run on Zoom. So she'll be the first to tell you, take your child to the doctor. And if you are not well, she'll say, no, it's okay. Just go and rest. But God help you if you lied about your child being sick. Or you're not really sick, you just took a mental health day, because she'll hear about it, she'll know about it, and you'll be in trouble again. So she's capable of being both tough and soft at the same time. And of course, like many people said, she is the person who best represents the ethical organization that GCIS still is. We are still very ethical. We have 1 or 2 problems here, but they are individual problems. As an institution, nobody spoke about the difficult times we had during state capture. And we stayed strong. And that was under the leadership of Ms. Phumla Williams. So we're looking very much forward. GCIS is going to watch you very carefully, DG Williams. But please don't criticize us too much when you're being asked for comment out there, because you must know we are trying hard. Okay. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, all that's left is cake. And we're going to, I'm sure there's going to be units and individuals that want to take pictures. So please, you can do that. You can form a line. You can come and say your goodbyes. And the ladies will be serving some cake outside. So please enjoy yourselves and come and say your individual goodbyes. And for now, the program's over. Thank you.
When